Hey guys, just gonna make this a quick one. It looks like it's about to rain out here. There's too much minutia in the atmosphere. There's too much separation between you and the fellow you're talking to, or the madam, or the miss, or the missus, or the mister, or whatever they identify as, you know? There's just too much minutia in between you and I for us to make a connection. How are things going to change? Well, I believe in the power of the human spirit, but let's be real. Ever since the pandemic occurred, it's been more like a loneliness epidemic, hasn't it? Talking to somebody is like unboxing another individual's mental situation. Talking to someone is like asking an open-ended question and hoping that they can ask you an open-ended question in return. You know? When I was growing up, people would never listen to me. And they would always assume that I needed their guidance. Well, you know, how would you know what that individual wants if you don't ask them what they desire first? How would you know anything about what another individual's wants, needs, and desires are if you don't call upon them and determine that by asking them? Well, who cares, right? Except for me. I care too much. And in a world when where all that matters is money, how are we ever going to evolve? If people are willing to do anything to get an extra dollar, then there'll be no room for innovation, no room for creativity, no room for others to express their soul. There'll be no opportunity for people to explore their God-given gifts. You know, people are like flowers. If you nurture them and let them grow, they'll blossom and become beautiful. But if you don't water a flower, what happens? It dries out and withers away. Such is the human spirit. I often make hints and talk about how I wish I had a better upbringing and so forth, but hey, listen, you only have one family, and your family may not be perfect, but your family will always love you no matter what. So, I just want to express that at the end of the day, no matter how I feel in my videos, I'm being stressed out by this world. I will always love my family. Here comes the rain. But you know what? I'm not really worried about that. The only thing I'm worried about is how grim and bleak the future is looking for all of us. Some say it's over. Well, I'd like to think it's just beginning, you know? Because their days are limited, and the kingdom of God will reign forever. The pain of this life will always be temporary. And it can be hard to do the right thing when nobody cares about you. Gotta just hope to God that He forgives you. Gotta continue to do everything you can for God and for yourself, but gotta listen to the lessons and accept the lessons of the Lord. A rain droplet decided to stop my recording. Let me pick up where I left off and begin again. You gotta listen to the lessons of the Lord. If you don't listen to the lessons of the Lord, do you know what that means? If you hear, yet don't understand, it means that you're from the Father, from your father, the devil. And people don't believe in this sort of talk anymore. I understand that. I feel as though there was a time when people did understand this talk. People had a chance to understand the grace and glory of God. But what happened? What happened? Well, the media became more and more in your face with the agendas of the devil. And for better or worse, this world became cursed. You'll never understand how they use symbols and symbology in their performances, will you? That's how you know that those Hollywood elites are pushing the devil's agenda. Just look at the way they'll always use the symbols. Look at all those performances on the grand stages, on, the majority of the most popular musicians. You have to be sick and twisted and do favors behind the scenes to become a successful artist in this world. And so, if you don't flaunt the symbols that the Hollywood elites want you to flaunt, you won't be able to maintain your position in the industry. And the Hollywood elites work for who? Why? They work for the greatest foe of all. The entity who's better left unsaid. Man, I tell ya, this life, it'd be like talking at the edge of a mountain and hoping that somebody hears you. It'd be like going deep-sea diving and trying to communicate with a fellow deep-sea diver, even though all you can hear is muffled noises. Even when you talk to somebody and they respond to you, it's not as if they really hear you half the time, is it? They may hear you, they may not care to understand. Who has time for that? When you gotta work hours on end to try and get by in this twisted life. Trying to make some new connections, but at the end of the day, I find it to be kind of upsetting when I make a friend, it just turns out to be some sort of narcissist after an empath type of vibe. Some sort of sociopath after a victim type of situation. You know what I mean? And I know you people out there love to say, oh, I prefer to be alone. Yeah, I do too, And I've been alone all my life. And I'm okay with being alone. But I believe in my heart that seeking fellowship and camaraderie is part of the human experience. It's part of our innate desires as members of the species. We need to connect to others, and we need to have some sort of fulfillment in the connections we make, you know? And my name, you know, doesn't mean that I believe I'm one of the star children. No, it means to accept the glory and grace of God, you need to be as a child. The Father sent his Son down from heaven, and Yeshua was not from this world. Okay? That's all. To me, what my name, my gimmick, my artist persona represents how I feel like an outcast in this world. Represents how I feel like I don't belong. You know, and it doesn't have to be a bad thing or whatever. It's just how I feel, though, you know? My content's for those who can relate. Those who like what I'm saying. I don't want you to pity me or anything. Because I'd rather inspire those who desire to hear what I have to say than disgust those who think I'm less than them. People always like to try and find weakness in others, don't they? That's exactly what a sociopath would do. Exploit weakness. What kind of world are we living in where people take advantage of others for their own personal gain? Not the type of world that I want to belong to. That's for sure. Have a good night, everyone. And an even better tomorrow. E.T. out. Well, you know what they say. Money is the root of all you know what. Hey?